Hello all, we have talked about the embedded system requirement in the last video. So in continuation to that, let us talk about the test requirements for embedded systems. So before going to the test requirements, let us first understand what are the major problems that generally the engineers face in the embedded development. One of the point is improper understanding of the requirements, thereby the product not being designed to the actual specifications, and then inexperienced developers team working on the product, which again leads to bugs and errors, and hence failure in the field. And then the guys who are designing this, whether it be hardware or firmware engineers, having lack of cross-functional experience. And the major point is that even though all these are a problem, if the board which is designed as a part of this embedded development, if it's not tested properly, then that could be a drastic scenario for the product. And then another important problem is passing the compliance marginally. So sometimes when we do this compliance test, the test passes, but we are just below that marginal level, which is a not good scenario. So we should have enough margin there. So these are the problems, very high level problems which could plague an embedded development. So we will talk specifically about the testing scenarios here. So the first thing is, when do we perform testing? So testing generally is done on a prototype board. That means a PCB engineer has released the Gerber to manufacturing, and then the the vendors, manufacturing houses produce the board and assemble the board, and we get the fresh board. So during that phase we generally work on bringing up that specific board. And then once we bring up, so when we say bring up here, this includes checking the voltage levels, and also checking all the different component orientations, placement, all these basic tests are done. And once that is done, we do test this prototype as per the requirements. So this testing includes bench level testing as well as system level testing. So all these are done on these prototypes. And then once prototyping is completed, we do move to the manufacturing, during which we do perform testing. And also a field engineer who goes to the field to, in case of any failure, do test the board. So these are the different scenarios where we perform testing on an embedded board. Now, when we test this board, is 100% test coverage possible? That's the major point where most of the experienced engineers do miss out. So the important requirement is that when we have a specification or basically a requirement sheet, and then when we design a prototype, we have to test the board such that each and every requirement is tested in detail. For example, when we say a 3.3 volt regulator should not exceed the tolerance of 5%, for example 10%. So in that case we have to measure the ripple on the 3.3 volt and see whether it is passing or not. And another scenario is, example, if external sensor is connected to the board, and if you want to test the system, example, let us assume there is a analog sensor, so which gives analog output. So when we read this over ADC, let us assume the requirement says that the input should be measured within 1% or a 5% of accuracy. So testing the sensor itself is not done. Testing the sensor to that specific criteria is also important. So when we say 100% here, it is requirements, and then the requirements which are not actually specified but do need to be tested are also covered. So these testing requirements which are not explicitly mentioned in the requirement sheet but need to be tested are generally done by experienced engineers, but some engineers do miss out. So the important point to remember is 100% testing need to be covered. And then when we say testing with respect to requirements, generally in the requirements we mention some external interfaces, and so we have to have those interfaces connected and test them. So during the prototyping testing, all these need to be covered. So when we say test to the minute level here, that means test as low as possible. So example, when we talked about ADC, so we generally test the analog level, and also we have to test the accuracy up to which we are able to read the values, and also the speed at which values are read, and also test the sampling. So there are several minute inbuilt requirements that need to be tested. So everything need to be covered, and some of these requirements could be met by simple hardware tests. A firmware also should be written in accordance with that, and then some automated softwares might be required to test these scenarios. Now, either to test 100% or to test all the requirements, proper test plan is the key. So proper test plan meant we should cover all the requirements when we write the test cases, and also the test description to cover how these tests need to be performed. So to do this, one of the important point is that the test engineers who shall be involved in the project should be involved during the requirement stage itself. That means we have to map the test requirements to the requirements phase, such that all the test requirements are understood during the design phase itself, and also it gives an additional input to the designer with respect to the testing requirements, such that the older failures in the previous designs could also be taken as a reference, and then proper care can be taken in the design. So the important point is that we have to involve the test engineers from the requirement phase itself, and then the test cases that are written as a part of the test plan should cover each and every requirement. And not only this test plan shall be used by during the prototype phase, this shall be used by the manufacturing, and also in the field if we have any issues, the way we have tested in the test plan need to be provided to the field engineer. So the test plan is the major document around which the entire embedded testing revolves, and it just doesn't stop with the prototyping. It can go up to field level as well. So that's why proper test plan is the key to achieve the best or 100 case test, 100% testability we have mentioned in the previous slide. And then another major point, do we need to test a single sample or test all the samples? So this is one important point where most of the experienced engineers do know this, but the beginners in the field, when they are doing embedded development, need to understand that when you are doing testing, there are different phases that are involved in the embedded life cycle. So one we mentioned clearly, the prototyping phase, and second one the manufacturing phase, and then the field testing phase. So During the prototyping phase, when we prototype the boards, so let us assume we prototyped some 6 boards. So as a test engineer, we do test all the boards, but sometimes just during a intensive debugging, or if any problem arises, we do concentrate on some of the boards, and few boards are not tested, which is valid, which is not a must. Actually, it isn't a must to test all the boards during the prototyping, but as the 6 boards are produced to test the board, design engineers do test all this. But as we mentioned, missing any of them is not a problem. But in the manufacturing, let us assume we completed the prototyping phase and moved to manufacturing phase, and we are manufacturing some 10,000 boards, example. Each and every board should be tested. So in prototyping phase, it is at the designer's discretion to test or not test all the produced samples. But in the manufacturing, all the samples need to be tested. We have another kind of testing called the compliance testing, which tests the board to different environmental conditions, which could be temperature, humidity, and also radiation and conduction tests, which include radiated emission, conducted emission, or any high voltage test, EFT, ESD, search, all these kind of tests come under compliance. So during compliance, we need not test a number of samples. One sample tested for all these tests is enough to say that our product is compliant. Generally, the design engineers follow this trend. Example, if there are very few tests that need to be conducted as a part of the compliance, one board shall be used for all these tests. But if there are n number of tests that need to be done as a part of compliance, to save time, there will be 3-4 boards that will be distributed across different test criteria, so that the time is saved. So here again, few samples or a single sample, based it is depending on the number of tests involved. And then definitely during the field, any debugging that is done are only on the failure boards, right? So it could be one or few. So to summarize, testing samples or a single sample is depending on the phase in which we are testing. And then, what is actually critical to testing? Now we talked about 100% testability, how we can achieve 100% testability, how many samples need to be tested in phase. But what is actually, what does it contribute to 100% testability, and what are all the critical factors? The major point is that we should have a well-developed firmware. A firmware engineer should work from the beginning of the project such that once the prototype is available, he should have a code which can be dumped onto the board. A firmware engineer cannot sit during the testing phase and develop new things, which could increase the test times, increase the project timelines, increase the cost. So a well-developed firmware which is available for testing is a very important requirement. And then firmware which he develops, if he includes specific test routines. So example, we could have a routine, let us assume a processor board which has a memory, and we have to test the memory whether it is functioning properly or not. So for that specific test, if a firmware engineer can write a routine where the memory is read and write a number of times, then in that case the testing becomes easier without the intervention of any testing. He just runs a small script, and then the memory is tested continuously and the output is provided. So these specific routines which are taught by the firmware engineer, and he includes into his code apart from the actual product requirements, always helps to do perfect testing. And then the firmware when we design, basically it meets the requirements, but sometimes during the testing we might have scenarios where we might have to run example, let us take a power test. So we have to test the maximum power consumption of the board. So during that scenario we have to operate all the interfaces that are connected external to a microcontroller or a processor on a board, such that the entire board consumes maximum power. So in that case the firmware engineer has to write a specialized code to come up with that scenario. And then one the firmware engineer also has to write some diagnostic test cases, which definitely are very important during the manufacturing phase as well as during the field testing phase, which helps the automation to happen, so that this test automation reduces the test time and hence saving lot of bucks for the company. So most of the critical most of the points which are critical to testing remain from the firmware front, while having experienced engineers, the understanding of the test procedures, and then the understanding of the test equipment, operability on the test equipment. So while all these are simple factors, what we mentioned here are more of a critical factors which play a role to do perfect. And then what kind of tools to use in testing? So during the prototyping phase, definitely while to program the board, we use the JTAG, and then the debuggers, the emulators, and the power supplies, function generators, oscilloscope, logic analyzer, multimeter, any signal generators or the function generators. Basically all these tools are used during the prototype phase to test the various requirements that are part of the system. And then any software application which is developed, which can play a critical role in automating the testing during the manufacturing and fields, is a additional bonus to the project, and it need to be included in the project during the design phase itself. So the major tools could be the test equipment, and then definitely the IDE, debuggers, JTAG, which are part of the microcontroller, the processor which we use, and then definitely the PCs which are used, and adding to that the software application which is developed specifically for this project to automate the tests. Like example, a software application is developed where it sends some data to the unit and collects the status of the unit and gives whether all the interfaces are operational or not, and gives pass fail criteria directly on application. This makes the life of the manufacturing house and then also the field engineer happy. So one scenario which we can talk about this is the built-in self-test and also the diagnostic tests that are included as a part of the firmware. And how can we save during time during the testing? So the important point is that the test engineers who are doing this test should have completed design, and then they need to be trained. They should have the proper experience. They should have well developed test plan in place, and if you have any chips like the microcontrollers or any other SD cards, so see these kind of external or flash memories. So if you already have the final program in place, you can buy chips with pre-programmed things, so which again eliminates the need to additionally program during the manufacturing, and it only just involves assembling that component, test it for our requirements. So that saves a lot of time. And then let us assume we are doing a manufacturing of 10,000 boards. So if you want to test the board, you cannot take each and every board, connect something, connect the external interfaces that are need to be connected, and perform tests. Right? This adds up a lot of time, takes a lot of bandwidth of the test engineers, adds cost, production cost, right? So if a small jig is developed, and if the jig is connected to a software application which we talked before, and then once the software application sends a command, this jig should be able to complete the entire test on this board, and then send the results to the software application, which is definitely part of the automation. So for this automation to happen, there must be an external test interface connector to the board, or additional test points that are added to the board, such that you can perform the in-circuit testing. So definitely all these things save time during testing, and save time is always saved cost for a project.